Hi, and welcome to the Business of Being a Virtual Assistant. I'm your host, Tiffany Parson, and you're watching and listening to episode number 288. Now, for the past two episodes, we have been diving into a day in the life of a virtual assistant. And I want to pick up where the first episode left off. I want to dive into that's what we were talking about, the schedules. And if you haven't been following along on this particular series within the podcast, be sure you get caught up. It starts with episode number 286. And let me check my board. Yes, starts with episode number 286. So today, we're going to talk about, we're going to take a deeper dive into schedules. There are three schedules: full time, part time, and deadline based. And we're going to dive into a full time virtual assistant schedule. My goal with this series is to paint a picture, especially for those of you who are thinking about becoming a virtual assistant, to paint a picture for you in helping you decide if that's actually what you want to do. And for those of you who have been a virtual assistant for many years, putting a spotlight on what you've been doing so you can evaluate if this is something I want to continue to do in this way. All right, full-time virtual assistant, diving into what a typical day could look like. Now, when you're a full-time virtual assistant, you're usually dedicated to one client because it's full-time, meaning 8 hours every day, Monday through Friday. This means that you don't have time for anyone else during that time frame. Yes, you can take clients after hours, you can take clients on the weekends. That's completely up to you, but full-time VA is like having a full-time job. You're employed by your client, even though they may be considering you as a 1099. It gives them a tax break. It's illegal, but people do it. If your clients are telling you exactly what time to be in, what time to clock out, that is a full-time job. That's not a 1099 situation. 1099 situation, they would be asking you if you're available, not assuming it's going to be every single time. And it would be more so deadline driven at your pace. All right, so let's talk about the full-time schedule. And all these schedules I'll be sharing with you over the next few episodes. I have done all of this. So, full-time. All right, let's say you log in at 8:30 your time. Most likely, I'm saying your time, but most likely, if let's say your client is Eastern time, they're going to want you to log in at 8:30 their time. So if you are on Pacific time, then that means it's probably going to be 5:30 in the morning on your end. So they're going to want you to clock in at their time, whatever it is. Let's say we're going to use 8:30 a.m. And you log in. You're signing into everything, whatever those everythings are. It could be email, live chat, Google Voice, social media, any community platforms like Mighty Networks, school, Facebook groups, basically wherever they have their online communities. If you're providing that as a service, logging into all those things. And depending on how busy your client's business is, as soon as you log in, these things might start firing up, right? Live chat may start, phone calls might start if that's a part of what you're doing. You're going to be seeing, lots of emails from the night before or tickets. Maybe they use like a Help Scout system or Freshdesk or Zendesk, something like that. So you may be seeing a lot of tickets that, things that need to be caught up. So in addition to signing into all these things, now you got to check all these things. So going from the email to the voicemail to the groups, returning calls, answering questions. Basically, your day starts the moment you log in. And In addition to this, you've also got to log into your own email and see if the client has sent you anything, any instructions or anything like that to take care of on this particular day or during the week. So, not just their support system, but also your business as well. So, you're pretty much going to be locked in, busy for that morning half. And in there, you'll make sure you're taking breaks, stand, stretch. But it's so easy to get absorbed into your work. And before you know it, it's 11 o'clock. Very easy for that to happen. Set you some alarms, take you breaks throughout. Because again, you could easily get stuck sitting there, and it's not good to be sitting for a very long time. So build you in some breaks in there. Definitely take your lunch and then come back fresh. Now, I didn't talk about meetings. In that morning period, may have meetings as well. There may be a check-in meeting, there may be team meetings. Maybe your client has a webinar that you must sit in or prepare for. Maybe they've got a training session with their own clients that you sit in and are available for any support, all while also handling all the other stuff we talked about: social media, live chat, email, voicemail. All the balls continue to roll at the same time. There isn't oh, we have a training session right now, and then everything else shuts off. Unless you're actually doing the training, those other things continue to go while all this other stuff is happening on Zoom, and you're on that as well. In the afternoon may look like maybe the meeting you sat in on, now you've got to do minutes, or now there were some action items that you have to take care of, or some follow-ups, or some phone calls. All in addition to going back and seeing, okay, what emails got missed, what voicemails got missed while I was in that meeting or training session. If you're creating, maybe you're creating social media posts, you're scheduling social media, you're checking on it. Maybe you're checking on any ads, any comments on the ads. All that has to be handled as well. You may be crafting emails or letters. There may be spontaneous instructions that are given throughout the day, even though you have it set. I have my 6 or 7 things that I do every single day, all day. But in between those, there are going to be some spontaneous requests, guaranteed. Guaranteed. One thing you'll notice about all of the schedules that we'll be talking about in this episode, future episode, is that it does address all the 3 categories we talked about in episode 287: administrative, creative, and technical. I want to put that in there because you may have a crossover where you're offering some type of technical support as well as administrative support. So these schedules aren't limited to just the administrative side. This goes on all the sides, okay? Now, if you have any questions, I want you to post those below. What questions do you have for me as it relates to being a full-time virtual assistant? I gave you an overview of what a day in the life looks like, being specific with a schedule. If you're a virtual assistant full-time working with one client, you can easily see how your mind is totally absorbed and focused with what they need from you during the day. Now, when the end of your day happens, let's say your day ends at 5 o'clock, give yourself time to have like a transition period. Almost like, if you're working full time and you get home, you don't jump right into something. You may take your breather in the driveway, in the parking space, in the garage before you go to the house, because if you have a spouse, you have kids, the minute you get into the house, it's game time. It's on. You're immediately shifting gears. If you're single, you have the benefit of having some solitude when you go into your home. So when you are a full-time virtual assistant and you log off, take the time you need to transition to the next thing. If you got to sit in the bathroom, sit in a quiet room just to decompress so you can move on to the next thing. And remember, you are running your own virtual assistant business as well, even though this one client is taking up a lot of your time. So you got to figure out how to balance your number one client and your exclusive full-time client. It can be a lot. I look forward to your questions. Be sure to comment below. If you're listening to the audio on the different podcast platforms, be sure to find the business of virtual assistant, the business of being a virtual assistant over on Facebook, or find me on YouTube. Look up Tiffany Parson and you'll find this episode there, and comment below with your questions. Thank you so much for watching and listening. You have a wonderful and fantastic day.